Bro.
Jim Jones was walking around his tiny flat, his heart racing with a strange sense of urgency. It started out like any other Wednesday, but there was spooky electricity. In recent days, he had been thinking a lot about his beloved Chrissy. Their intense moments together had left him speechless, but their recent separation made him shiver. As the afternoon sun streamed through the window, Chrissy felt vibrant and unburdened by her history. At her friend's place, she was relishing the warmth of candid conversation and laughing. She couldn't help but notice, though, how much the man she had once loved looked like her. Held a pull that, despite her best efforts, she was unable to completely release. As the sun dipped and cast blazing hues over the sky, he was tossed off. Jim felt a chill run down his spine when his phone rang ominously. It was a friend's message. Comet is returning to the city. Futile uncertainty seeped into his heart like poison, fueled by an unanticipated yearning to face the truth, and he ignored the message as a wave of heat surged across his cheeks. Dread swirled with anger. Jim immediately thought of Chrissy's reaction and how her eyes would light up as he shocked her as soon as he got into his car. However, when he saw a familiar car parked, his excitement turned to anxiety as he drove. He inhaled deeply, opened the door, and noticed what seemed like a kick to the abdomen. His hands clenched, his heart fell from his chest, and the laughing inside sounded like a mocking echo when he spotted Carmen's automobile there. What the hell is going on here? As Chrissy and Carmen lay splayed out on the couch, laughing excessively and displaying intimacy through their body language, Jim's voice erupted. Chrissy's head whipped around her face, low-key, deadly, and bereft of color as she crawled to her feet. James, you claim to be over Jim, but I'm not even sure where to start. Jim yelled, his words laced with treachery. Carmen stood up, his hands up defensively, a look of surprise and annoyance on his face. Jim Man says this is not as simple as it seems. Don't speak. The tension in the air was building when Jim remarked, I don't want to hear your pitiful justifications. The room became chilly. The atmosphere was intense, almost tangible. Chrissy had a glimpse of despair and fear in her eyes. Could I tell you what he shouted, Jim? She had anger in her eyes. You've been lying to me behind my back, so even with everything you say, I know I wasn't sneaking around. She wailed, and Chris's voice trailed off. Jim scoffed, clearly unimpressed with what I assumed would be a simple conversation. Do you think this is a conversation? He felt a part of himself shatter as he turned to storm away, entangled with him as though you had never left. It felt to him like a brutal betrayal, the punchline to a joke he had not wanted to be a part of, the laughter that had filled the room. Invoking the finality of their breached confidence, the door slammed behind him. He was overcome by the storm of emotions and left breathless when the fresh night air hit him like a blast of adrenaline. Were they by any chance? Would he ever have faith in Chrissy again? He was filled with a strong desire for answers and feelings of betrayal. Jim understood there were many dark, glowing possibilities ahead as the night drove off. This was just the beginning. It was still there. Can a passionate love withstand such a devastating breakup? The road ahead was anything but simple, and the night itself seemed as far away as the answer. He was forced to face the stark, unadulterated reality of betrayal in love, as well as the perilous charm of the past as he made his way through the city streets. The bustling streets below turned golden as the sun fell low over New York City, and the chic restaurant was alive with clinking glasses and laughter. But things were about to change dramatically at one table. Chrissy Lampkin, seated across from Jim Jones, looked equally determined and upset. After experiencing their fair share of highs and lows, they were different. It seemed like an unpleasant conversation between Jim's mother and Chrissy. We have to talk about your mother, Jim. Chrissy spoke in a composed yet passionate tone. I can't continue to appear as though nothing is wrong because she consistently treats me disrespectfully. Jim groaned and scratched the back of his neck. It's my mother, so you have to understand where she's coming from, he replied. It goes beyond how your mother handles me. Chrissy continued, sparkle shining in her eyes. You can't keep defending her. The air crackled with unresolved feelings as Jim's phone buzzed on the table with a text message. Jim's mother screamed abuses at him, and his face became cold. She's messaging me right now and blaming me for fostering strife in our family, which is absurd. Your mother won't let me be a part of your life, even though I want to. A nearby table turned as Chris's shouting grew louder. Before Chrissy could respond, someone moved to the side of their table. Jim was getting more and more upset, and you appeared to be at her neck all the time. What if you simply made an effort to comprehend her? Jim's mother glared as she replied, I'm sick of your disrespect. Christina, it was like a TT string breaking the strain. Do you believe you can simply enter this room and remove my son? Chrissy retaliated. You're going to let her talk to me like that? Chrissy's question hung in the air like a challenge as Jim stood up to try to defuse the situation. You must respect me. I'm not attempting to take him away. Jim's face twisted and strained as the weight of his mother's love tugged at him. But Chrissy had had enough. Anger emanating from her like flaming heat, she leaped from her seat. Since you allowed her to take charge when everything was in chaos, we are unable to collaborate. When Jim got really angry and tried to stop Chris from going on, he stunned everyone in the room by hitting her cheek. Restaurant in a pleasant and tranquil environment, there were gasps between them. Jim's eyes widened in horror at what he had just done, and his heart sped up. Is that you? Chrissy's visage fluctuated between intense determination and immobilized grief as she talked, tears streaming down her cheeks. She whispered, you picked her over me. Jim's heart fell when he learned the true cost of his actions. Chrissy turned on her heel, leaving Jim standing there. She said calmly, Jim, you need to decide what you want because I won't be in a love triangle with your mother. At the cafe, he was surrounded by quiet and the reality of. Dan was upset because of the prior incident's devotion and betrayal. Jim was aware that things would change when Chrissy asked him to marry him. His heartbeat quickened as he realized how important this was. Would he defend Chrissy, or would he allow their love to be overshadowed by the strong forces of familial loyalty? Fresh York backstage during the 2019 Deucepalooza, December 13, Barclays Center, New York City. A Johnny Noon's wire service photo. And eventually, it has to cease. Both Jim Jones and Chrissy Lampkin L. Despite being together for 18 years, Chrissy Lampkin tells Jim Jones by 2021 appeared to be over the notion of marrying at a family get-together during the third season of Love and Hip Hop on VH1. You want me to be this loving, crazy cook this, that, and the other, she unexpectedly said, adding, but you come home and you're mean, and you're cold, and you're distant. During their heated discussion, Jones confessed his misdeeds because he was afraid of being married. I just know how to try to support and make money because I've always been a boy in my household. I love you more than anything in this world, so please don't think I'm selfish in the slightest, replied Chrissy. Something has to end, according to a recent episode of Love and Hip Hop New York. In the most recent episode, Chrissy Lampkin gave an explanation for why she and Jim had remained engaged for so long. She described how, following her nearly 7-year absence, the producers initially reached out to her in an effort to bring her back to the center of the show. Chrissy remarked, our relationship is in a favorable place, recalling her last partnership. Marriage may seem like the next step, but not everyone is ready for it. Everything is fine at the moment. Chrissy disclosed the couple's relationship issues in 2016. She explained that she didn't feel the need to be married until they were both ready, which is why she stayed engaged to her then fiancé. I'm here because I don't want to get divorced now that I've made this decision, and people move at various speeds. Chrissy relocated from New York to Miami to live with JYM in a particularly notable episode, which many fans believe marked a turning point in their relationship. Their friendship and affection have been greatly influenced by their partnership. On December 16, the show's 9th season will debut on VAD1. Their partnership, warning that she could break it off. Fans are left to wonder about their connection and what truly forms a couple, as Jim chose not to wed Chrissy in spite of this extravagant gesture. To make up for what many perceive as his previous lack of commitment, Jim risked everything by asking Chrissy to marry him in Miami. The real test of their love is how sincerely they are committed to one another in spite of social conventions. In an environment full of expectations, they continue to conquer challenges and learn how to prioritize their own happiness, as well as that of their group. The audience is so engrossed in their story that they eagerly expect updates and new perspectives on their relationship as time goes on. Many people can identify with the universal themes of love, dedication, and personal development that are highlighted throughout their journey. They act as a reminder that partnerships are about more than simply getting somewhere. They're also about the experiences and changes that happen along the way, as Christian Jim continues to travel their path. We wish them both clarity, understanding, and happiness in whatever shape that enjoyment may take as they begin this new chapter. Whether they choose to get married or stay put, it's critical to keep in mind what brings people joy and fulfillment. It's normal for some couples to never get married after years of dating and living together. Whether you achieve calm and contentment together or alone is less significant. The world looks on, hoping for some knowledge and clarity as Chrissy and Jim progress through this next phase. A love story is rarely straightforward. Being loyal to yourself while navigating relationships may be the most important thing for travelers. Happiness for them both, no matter what path they choose in the days ahead. Their relationship's ever-changing dynamics serve as an example of the highs and lows that come with love. Every encounter and public appearance, in spite of the dispute with A&A, enriches the book they are co-writing. Jones serves as a constant reminder of the value of familial ties and the difficulties in maintaining them. The water's depths can occasionally be incapacitating. Over time, Jim and Chrissy have both developed as people by learning from their successes and failures. Not only about love, but also about communication, understanding, and respect. They can be thinking back on their shared history as well as their future relationships and personal objectives. It's clear that Chrissy and Jim are responding differently to the wider societal expectations that are often reflected in conversations about marriage. Choosing what's best for them might be difficult in pressured settings created by the industry, fans, and family. Always in accordance with what each person desires or is prepared to.